In what ways will the future of work affect urban development? How will our cities be transformed? This is what we will be discussing now on this upcoming 20-minute panel, The Global Future of Creative Work and Cities. Let me introduce to you our three experts on this topic. I'm saying hello and welcome here in the studio in Vienna, Katja Schechtner. You are a research fellow at the MIT Senseable City Lab and advisor to the Austrian Minister of Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility, Technology and Innovation. And you are an urban scientist. You advise the Inter-American Development Bank as well as the EU Commission on Smart City Strategy. And you call yourself a global urban nomad. Welcome.
Thank you.
Also with us in the studio here is Georg Russegger. Hello.
Hi.
You are head of the Knowledge Transfer Center at the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna. The Knowledge Transfer Center East is a platform that promotes vivid exchange between science, business and society. Great to have you here.
Thanks.
And joining us live from Boston is Marianne Ocampo. She's a lecturer of urban design with the Department of Urban Studies and Planning at MIT. She works on international and domestic institutional and urban projects, leading teams with strategic planning and a commitment to design excellence. The global futures of creative work and cities.
In my research, I'm interested in how people live, learn, and work in cities. Together with my fellow panelists, Georg and Marianne Ocampo, we will discuss today the global futures of creative work in cities. In my own work, I follow a three-step approach. First, I develop methods and tools to understand how people live in cities. Where do they go? Do they feel safe? What is it, the quality of air about and around them? And even more important, how well are they connected to the parks, the schools, the shops, or even the hospitals if we need them? Secondly, and very importantly, with this knowledge, I develop platforms where politicians and experts and citizens can come together and actually design their own environments, quarters, and cities. But where they also understand that their own interests need to be balanced with the interests of other people. Where you put a bus stop might be good for you, but not for the people around you. And this is important to negotiate in cities. And thirdly, and finally, I then step out of academia and actually implement new things. That might be a new public transportation system in an Asian capital, or it might be new rules and regulations for blockchain-based payment systems for urban services. However, of course, this work is done together with many people, experts, collaborators, across research fields, institutions, and global borders. Sometimes this can be extremely messy and difficult, but I do think Georg knows more about this.
It's all about complexity. The future of work culture is complexity at its best. It will neither be the Matrix Terminator future, nor will it be the shiny, clean wonderland where humans just relax. In this future, work-life vision, creative intelligence acts as a complexity-sensitive entity. Humans will invent in micro, macro, bio, techno architectures through media-embedded interfaces and pervasive AI. Knowledge cultures, we will see them as supporting and designing and support facilities, and we humans have to repair our future on the way we are living it. Creative intelligence is a sustainable form of energy, fueling this engine of planetary shifts with a desire-driven approach. So we have to see how we can embed creative intelligence and how we can create learning skills to do so. So Marianne, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your experience about campuses, how they will be designed, and learning environments.
Hello, my name is Marianne Ocampo, and I am a principal at Sasaki, an international planning and design firm, and a lecturer of urban design at MIT's Department of Urban Studies and Planning. In the past year, during a global pandemic, people around the world have changed their ways of learning. We have witnessed a great migration from in-person and place-based interaction to engaging online with virtual classes and meetings. Synchronous classes are creating dedicated times across global time zones for people to exchange ideas and to find new ways of collaborating. Technology has provided a means for staying connected, for exploring new alternatives to teaching and learning, and fostering new partnerships between institutions, industry, and organizations. This year, we found a normalizing of online learning that has never been achieved in higher education. And while there is critical thinking and reflecting on how successful or unsuccessful it has been, we have integrated technology in a completely new way that could revolutionize our way of thinking about teaching and learning for the future.
Thank you, Marianne. It's always a pleasure to work with you. Now, new technologies can also revolutionize how we learn about human life in our cities and what clues about health and well-being we can learn from our urban infrastructures. To show you more about this, I've brought a tiny glimpse into the work of my fantastic colleagues at MIT Senseable City Lab with me. Now, I do think in the past year, the importance of the quality of the air we breathe has become self-evident, not only on a global level, but really on the street and in the parks and in the shops where we are. And we have also understood what knowledge lies in our infrastructures. For example, when we were able to identify the coronavirus in urban wastewater systems. And this gave us an early warning what was about to come in a particular city, in any particular city, because the underlying technology is the same, whether we live in Manila, in Paris, Vienna, or Boston, as I've been doing for the past 10 years. Even if that means that our research is sometimes messy, dirty, and even smelly, or even about things that are usually hidden from everyday life and everyday view, to learn from our urban environment can mean to save lives, or at least to make them a bit better or more free. To be able to do this in our research, we cannot be bound by the methodologies of a single field. We need a multidisciplinary approach, or even an anti-disciplinary approach, as my friends at MIT Media Lab like to call it. In the past, we benefited a lot from digging deep into one field, from becoming specialists, to get better at the mechanical engineering at one particular machine to solve one problem, or about the energy storage systems of one very particular battery setup. However, while this deep knowledge is still important, it is not enough anymore. We must speak the languages of designers, planners, engineers, physicists, biologists, and social scientists within one lab, one team, and one project. And I do think you have seen this in some of the statements that Daniela Russ or Sanjay Samar made before, as this is the only way we can make sure that what we do in our research actually hits the road and improves lives and how we design our future cities, to ensure that there is a constant breeze and airflow, and that we are able to develop wastewater systems that not only detect, but also filter out the viruses and the drugs we need to take to combat them. On how we can work better together in cities, across fields, cultures, and borders. I'm also sure again that Georg has more insights.
That sounds a bit about intuitive approaches we need here, and we can talk better maybe between the disciplines or the antidisciplines. So, future of work will be a polylogic super network. We will have to deal with multiple operation systems interacting in playful interface cultures, and AI will support decision making and preparing selection. It will also get the hands dirty. By now, this is the story we know. But these challenges bring us in extreme situations. They force decision making on a trained intuition level. Creative intel is like circuit bending, a creative change-based customization of circuits on the organic artificial level. In contrast to push-button, clicking and swiping functions, we will have to operate within mindfulness for operations based on second or higher order logics. Vividness of planetary cultures will not allow tailor-made solution. So the only way is to co-create, to cooperate, to co-design, and to make co-evolution possible. Collective intelligence between humans and non-humans is organized by a flow between these hybrid crowds. The wisdom lies in the way of how we create and design these interactions and transactions to feel joy instead of demand within complexity. So maybe Marianne can now tell us about designing in the future and make places for learning. How would they look like?
Designing places for the future of learning may involve not only designing places, but designing experiences. The future campus could be a blended campus. The rapid shift to online learning in 2020 revealed opportunities as well as the limitations of available online delivery, pedagogical adaptations, and engagement techniques. Universities around the world may be rethinking a new blended direction, combining online and hybrid learning with newly designed campus experiences. This could be a new model for education. This blended campus model of toggling between online and in-person instruction may provide greater flexibility for students, faculty, and staff. It allows people to have choices and potentially allows for more affordable alternatives in educational obtainment. Are there more equitable approaches to education that can serve more people? Having a blended campus can be transformative. The online experiment may lead to new pedagogies and new types of learning platforms enabled by technological advancements. Virtual approaches combined with place-based activities may offer opportunities to create more interactive and engaged learning that is more accessible and connects to new ways of working. New collaborations and partnerships don't have to be limited to geography, but can be reimagined to be more inclusive and connected globally. For example, a campus plan for Virginia Tech created a vision that rethought community engagement with the university through a hybrid approach to physical and digital communication. This approach provided opportunities for the campus community to access the design ideas for the future campus and provide feedback during the process. From GPS tracking of mobility patterns to virtual reality live streaming, we tailored engagement and analytical processes for the community. Here, the future of learning was embedded in conversations about the evolving role of technology and the mission of the university. The engagement techniques deliberately celebrated the technology of Virginia Tech in the planning process while also creatively planning for a future campus that would advance new ways of thinking about collaboration, health and well-being, mobility and infrastructure, and flexible learning environments. The campus was envisioned as a laboratory for learning, with infrastructure in place to promote virtual and physical opportunities for learning that aligned with goals focused on sustainability and research. And the future campus at Virginia Tech aspired to build relationships and partnerships between the town and gown. The downtown and campus working together becomes a physical space for shared interests between research, economic development, and creative collaboration. In practice at Sasaki and the Sasaki Foundation, we use civic technology to expand our outreach and ways to engage and connect with more diverse populations. For example, with a tool called Get There, we ask Greater Boston residents to tell us about their needs and experiences. This digital tool was a map and a survey that would track their priorities and locate where improvements to mobility needed to take place. Civic technology is a way to advance the future of learning because it is a strategy to providing more feedback. This data has become a website that integrates data analysis and resident feedback to advocate for changes within our cities and campuses. Another example is our research design studios at MIT. We work around the world with our students to apply planning theory into practice. From Metro Manila to Venice, Italy, we focus on urbanism, environmental systems, and social inequities. We have been working in a hybrid format, mixing place-based instruction in Torino, Italy, to shifting to online learning in Boston. We've had to adapt during the pandemic to teach and connect with our partners in Italy, which has afforded us new ways of embracing change and collaboration. We have studied immigrant communities in the industrial districts of Torino while inventing a new way of learning and interacting with each other online. With these challenges, we had the opportunity to invent new ways of teaching and learning from each other. This year has impacted our perception of working and learning for the future. The campus of the future, I believe, will be focused on designing experiences that integrate virtual and place-based learning. And with that, back to you, Katja and Georg.
Georg, we've just heard some really practical examples from Marianne how to design learning systems and learning spaces. And you showed us a wonderful idea about collaboration between humans and machines. But honestly, how does that work in real life and in a near future?
It's a very good question. And it's also the question where we should start. I think we have to start now. This is the most important thing. We have, as I said, a lot of things going on, but we don't connect them. This whole co-idea is not enough. It has to be really a deepened understanding, and I'm not talking only about society and the poor artists. Also the artists have to be trained, and the creative and the designers to go out there and also to find a way how to connect to others. But this form of contingency, I really believe this would be the first step to bring the ideas on the road. And secondly, we should never forget that we are also visitors on this earth, and that this earth is carrying us. So it's a very important part as well to think sustainable in cases of how we can save the earth. So Katja, we have heard from you a lot about urbanism, urban development, and how that can be observed and researched. I have also heard that you have a lot of knowledge about the global south. So how can we learn from that kind of things, and how can we embed that in our culture?
I love that question because I actually did a huge publication on this with more than 12 case studies on how we can learn from how African cities implement drone systems because they don't have the roads to connect them, which could teach us how we are lighter on our own connections throughout Europe. Or in India, they bridged problems that we have here today as well. Our mobility and transportation systems, and especially the transport of goods, rely on people driving trucks. It's harder and harder to find those people, and it's difficult work conditions to them. In India, they made a fantastic system tackling that question, but also delivering goods 3 times as quickly. So truckers take up a load, a truck, drive it 4 hours in one direction, hand over that truck to the next driver, pick up something that comes from their end, and drive back 4 hours in that direction, and hand over the truck. They can go back to their own families and sleep at home every night. The trucks can run all the time, which makes the whole delivery chain 3 times faster and 2 times cheaper. And on top, because you mentioned sustainability, on top, those trucks are more used, so they are a quicker turnover, and it makes sense to quickly buy a new one, less polluting truck. This is what we can learn from Global South for us as well.
Wow, what a beautiful example.
Thank you. Because
first, we imagine the future.
And then we make it so.